What are some easy ways to market your SaaS company for an increase in your B2B sales? What are some of the best lead generation tips for attracting your dream customers? And how can you do the right SEO for your SaaS company so that you can significantly increase your sales? Well, today's special guest is a marketing mastermind who has the answers. If you own a SaaS company and are looking to grow your sales fast, then don't miss out on the gold revealed in today's episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. Cue the music. Hey, welcome to the Marketing Podcast Party, the only marketing podcast where you and I party together while discovering big, bold, and wildly successful marketing ideas that can transform your business. I'm your host, Daniel Din. Let's get this party started. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be fun. In today's episode, we are going to discover some big ideas to increase sales inside of your software business. I've worked with a handful of SaaS companies. My guest has worked with even more SaaS companies over the years. I was able to help a lot of them with some big, bold, sticky, and wildly successful marketing ideas. And I share a few great examples and case studies from wildly successful SaaS companies in my new book, Ideas That Influence. So after this episode, if you'd like to access even more great marketing and business building ideas, then I want to give you a copy of my book for free. Ideas That Influence comes with an amazing box experience, and you get it all for free. You get it for free. You just pay shipping and handling costs. So to grab your copy, visit bigideasbox.com. Once again, that's bigideasbox.com for your free plus shipping copy of the Ideas That Influence book and interactive box experience. And now it's time to introduce my very special guest. Basically, Kevin and I, we've been hanging out for years. Okay. We've been attending a lot of the same conferences. We've broken bread multiple times. Kevin is a mastermind when it comes to SEO, specifically for software companies. He is also a mastermind when it comes to lead generation. He is also a mastermind when it comes to design elements for websites that attract attention. Kevin is one of the smartest people I know, and he works with million-dollar companies consistently, helping them grow their bottom line. Let's welcome to the show my dear friend, Kevin Barber, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. Hey, Daniel, I'm super excited to be here. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Kevin, you've got some wild stories. You've done some really cool things in your life. I mean, you lived, was it in Costa Rica for a while? Now you live in Florida, and you've done some really fun things over the years. So let's please share with the audience. I know I'm going to learn something new. Share a bit more about your journey, what got you to where you are today, where you eventually started working with really big SaaS companies.
Sure. So here's my story in a nutshell. I'm Kevin. I'm the founder and head of growth of a marketing agency called Lean Labs, and we help SaaS and tech companies make their marketing profitable so they can scale, right? Normally, there's a fundamental reason that's not happening, and we have to find those bottlenecks and fix them. But before that, I was just... How about this? I was just motivated to find a way to be successful. Like that was my fundamental drive from when I was a teenager. And I went to school for engineering, and along the way, I was trying to pay my own bills, and I got into network marketing. And my dream was to make, $250,000 a year as an engineer with like combined skills. And I met someone who was making $250,000 a month, and I was like, I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do that, right? And that kind of made me a little bit unemployable, and launched me into entrepreneurship. And I ultimately did not finish my engineering degree. Probably could have done that, by the way. Whoops. But the deal is that And it launched me into a deal, compressing the story, where I spent 10 years as a web shop building websites, web apps for companies. And I realized that oftentimes they did not have a go-to-market plan. They did not have a strategy. They did not have their positioning right. They just wanted this website as this asset, but it didn't make them money. It cost them money. So after doing that for, gosh, quite a few years, I decided that the real value I could bring would be in helping companies really get their positioning and their narrative and their buyer journey in a place to where when we launch a website, when we launch a campaign, it actually sticks in the market, and it grabs attention and it pulls people in, and it attracts their target market like a magnet and converts them so that their business actually grows. And that's the game I love to play. And I bring in the engineering component because I love the numbers. I've always loved the numbers. But at the same time, um, the game is making the numbers work for the business, and that's a lot of fun. So that's me.
Wow, that's amazing. So like I learned so much right there because now I get it. Where just random side note, did you know that I also when I went to school, now I started and I was trying to do a mechanical engineering degree. Now, the difference between Kevin Barber and I is that Kevin Barber was very close to finishing, and eventually I gave up like 2 semesters in because, to be honest, I hated all of the math that
Oh,
they
I
were
love the
having.
math. I love the
There
math.
you go.
We always bring up in the company when someone has like hey Kevin, I think that number's not right, and then the team is always like, you're not going to outmath Kevin. So
Oh yeah, that was the divide right there. Because so as you can see, I like creative things, creativity. I actually originally my desire was to be an engineer for a toy company. And I was like, oh, maybe I could work for Mattel, or maybe I could work for like Nerf or something because I really liked Nerf guns as a kid. And like I had these ambitions, and then I'm like all excited. I'm going to college and I'm like, yeah, engineering, let's go. And then it's
Mhm.
like math, 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 math. And so I was like, maybe and today now I'm a marketer. So it's like it all works out. But the
Right.
interesting thing is you took a similar path, but since you're so good at the math, you are a marketer as well. But I think it's fair to say that you and I are both marketing masterminds, but in different areas. Like we're not competitors at all. The people we serve are completely different. I have helped a lot of SaaS companies, like a good handful. You've helped a lot more, and you're more of a mastermind with certain aspects of the marketing where it's like a lot more analytical than I usually get into. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, the way I would say it is we are climbing the same mountain on our bicycles, by the way. But we're coming from different sides. We're coming from different sides of the mountain. So I am like very systems driven, unpacking the process that realizes you need innovative, creative, differentiated marketing in order for it to work. But I'm thinking about this repeatable growth engine from a mathematical perspective, and you're coming at from of when you're creative and when you stand out, it just works, and that's what makes the math work. We just got to the same conclusion from different sides of the mountain.
Yeah, no, 100%. So like because I've helped people like with the analytical side as well. Like I've done some SEO for people. I've done a lot of like PPC marketing where I'm like diving into the numbers and I'm like looking at the spreadsheets and I'm like figuring out like okay, like where is this going to work? And I'm not going to say it's completely a divide where it's like there's the scientific approach to marketing, but there is a famous book called Scientific Advertising. I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
It's one of those.
100% scientific advertising.
There
Yep.
we go. There we go. I have it. I just don't remember who wrote that. It was one of those dead gurus that wrote that one. So
Mm-hmm,
scientific
mm-hmm.
advertising. And so like there's the analytical, there's the science side to it, and it's real. It's 100% real, the science side to the marketing equation. And then there's also the artistic side to the equation. And I think both of us There has to be crossover because it can't just be 100% science without any art, and it can't be 100% art without any science, because if it's just art without the scientific approach to advertising and marketing, then you don't really have the full benefit, the full, you're not packing the biggest punch possible if you don't incorporate both sides. But I lean more towards the artistic side, and it seems like you lean a little bit more, especially since you're a master at SEO. It seems like you lean a little bit more towards the science side of
Absolutely.
the
Every business
equation.
problem is a math problem. Every marketing opportunity is a math challenge or a math victory. I really incorporate from that lens. But it's interesting you brought up scientific advertising, Claude Hopkins, because
Too
that's where I
was.
actually brought in kind of actually an angle that brought me closer to you, which is I learned from Claude Hopkins and his books that every single successful marketing campaign has a marketing scheme. And at that time, in that era, they actually considered themselves to be scheme men. That's what they called themselves, is they're scheme men. What is the scheme? What is the layer of strategy and differentiation that we're going to put on top of this that makes it interesting, that makes it hook, what makes it draw? And no matter how math driven you are, you better have a scheme. And now today in B2B, we call that go to market, you know?
There you go. There you go. Wow, like 100%. I agree. That was gold, Kevin. That was gold. Even the Claude Hopkins scientific advertising guy is saying, hey, there's two sides to this. There is the analytical side. We're going to look at demographics. We're going to look at our, like how to do the number, the math game that makes the money. But also, there's the scheme side, that the scheme men back in the day. Now, I have been using this analogy a lot lately. Um, were you a big fan of WWE growing up, Kevin?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay, okay. And maybe because you were like, man, this is all just like wonky, like fake stuff, right? So I knew it was fake. Okay. Everybody kind of knows it's like an act, and then but we like know that there's also a pain level involved. It's like it's fake and it's not. It's like
Right. But that
like a
chair was real.
yeah, like when yeah, like when they jumped off the fence and crashed into the table, as much padding as there was, they still jumped from 15 feet off of the top of
Absolutely.
whatever, right? And that is scary, and that's gonna hurt,
Right.
right? um, and so, but there's a thing, because I've been watching a lot of these documentaries lately when it comes to the successful wrestlers and the non-successful wrestlers. And the successful ones, this is a nod back to the scheme men that Claude Hopkins talked about. The successful wrestlers always had a gimmick, and they had a really good gimmick. Okay, so an example that we all probably have heard of is, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, one of the most famous actors in the world, and he had multiple gimmicks. So, you may or may not have heard of, like, for example, Kevin, the people's elbow. Okay. Have you heard of the people's elbow?
I've not heard of the people's elbow.
Literally, so imagine this. You're 20 minutes into a wrestling match, right? They're slamming, they're throwing it around, and all of a sudden, The Rock gets this massive move over on somebody. Okay. And the gimmick is this: the person's laying out like it appears like the person's like almost passed out. They're laying there, they're like ready to be pinned, right? And then The Rock stops. He looks at the crowd and he takes off his elbow pad, rips it off, and throws it into the crowd. The crowd goes wild, right?
Mm.
Because he's taken off his elbow pad, right? And he goes from one side of the ring to the other, and he's bouncing off of the ropes. One, two, three. And then he walks over and he drops an elbow on you. Okay? And then covers the person. One, two, three. Yeah, the crowd goes wild. Okay, so here's the thing: it's literally the least effective move in all of wrestling.
Right.
Pausing, taking off your sleeve, throwing into the crowd, left to the right to the left, and then finally and drops one elbow, and somehow that's what got the 1, 2, 3 count,
Right. That's
right?
hilarious. That's the emotional conclusion, right? So, but yeah, that's very funny. So
Yeah.
scientifically, not the thing. Performatively,
Oh
completely
yeah.
attractive. It reminds me of that video game because I'm Gen X. So like we're at the end, they're like, finish him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mortal Kombat, man.
Right,
There you
exactly.
go. You're Gen X. Wait, I was almost Gen X. What year were you born?
78.
78. That's it. You were Gen X. You're like the youngest Gen X possible, and I'm like the oldest millennial
Millennial.
possible.
There you
That
go.
that's it. That's it. um, but yeah, finish him, and then
Right.
yeah, dramatic effect,
There you go.
and then
Finishing move.
sometimes the finishing move I remember it would be like finish him, and then like if it was like one of the women fighters, they would like give the guy a kiss, and the guy would fall over dead or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, that was awkward. And then sometimes it would be like they rip off a mask and like blow fire at them, and then all the bones turn to ash and whatever.
Right. Or they
So
rip inside of them and pull out through their spine, their brain. So yeah, so there you go.
yeah, it's like, whoa, you should have probably started with that move.
Right. Right. It's gonna save some time.
You save a lot of time. So when it comes to yes, so the people's elbow is what that move is called. It is the least effective move in all of wrestling, but it is one of the most sticky and memorable things about The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the people's elbow, and the crowd goes wild when he's ripping off that elbow. Everybody's getting all fired up and oh my gosh, this is crazy. He's doing the people's elbow.
Mhm.
And it's just like, okay, that's art. That's art. And if you have the analytical approach, if you have all the data in the world and you know exactly how to math your dream customer into existence and
Mhm.
attract them and crack all of the right algorithms on social media or on Google, etc. But then they show up and you're boring and you look more of the same, then that's where the ball is dropped. And it didn't matter all of the science because you didn't also mix in a little bit of the art.
100%. There is we make mistakes in trying to make ourselves seem professional that make us incredibly average. Right.
There you go.
And rather than be professional, I would rather be the one that stands out. I would be the one that doesn't fit in. I would rather be the rebel or the disruptor, the purple cow, right? The one that stands out in that field that requires just a little bit of attention and understanding. You're going to get more traction than that than trying to do what your competitor, who's more known, more trusted, more funded, right, is doing, and you're going to beat them by being more professional than them, more established than them. That's not the way you're going to dethrone the leader.
I love it. I love it. Kevin, it's apparent to me that you are the type of person who puts up a good fight.
I'll put up a good fight.
Yeah,
Just put
let's
the
go.
word. Uh-huh.
You're
If
like,
it's not over till it's over, so you got to stay in it.
I definitely, I'm convinced if I run a SaaS company and I'm trying to
You know I don't play.
compete against Kevin Barber and his SaaS company, that I don't want to, because you understand both sides of the equation. You get it. You're gonna break through the noise. You're gonna figure things out, and we're about to dive into the secrets in order to get more leads, do the SEO the right way, sell more as a SaaS company, especially in B2B type situations. We're gonna dive into all that, but we have failed our listener today
Oh,
because we
uh-oh.
have not yet explained our party gear.
They're probably starting to wonder. Kevin's not going to go very far on that bicycle that he's not on. So,
So Kevin, so you chose our party gear for today. I did my best to match your energy with everything. And so what's the purpose of our party gear today? Let us know about that.
Right. So I love two things. I really my pursuits are riding bikes and building brands. Like that's the game. And I did motorcycles for years, but I hopped on a bicycle where I had to be the motor, and I was like, it's more challenging, it's more fulfilling, it requires all this additional skill, and you're never actually that great, and it never gets easier. You just get faster, and I became addicted to it.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, and so yeah, you've I've actually seen you posting multiple times some of your workouts. I mean, some of these are like they are really long rides that you go on sometimes, right?
Right. So we definitely have some of those more endurance rides. I do a few centuries, which is 100-mile road rides a year.
Nice.
I do some 50-mile off-road rides, which I would argue are even harder. I travel. I do downhill biking. I do mountain biking, road biking. Basically, if it has two wheels, I'm into it. I'm even getting into dirt jumping, BMX, like stuff we did as a kid, because you
Oh.
develop and you hone those fine-tuned skills by doing that stuff.
Now, is it safe to say that since you're so good at the scientific side of advertising, that getting out in nature and enjoying and doing these hobbies is what helps you also gain inspiration for the artistic side of business?
Absolutely not. Um,
Absolutely not.
absolutely
Well,
not. To be honest with you, I take the exact same skill set. I know my split times. I know where I stand. I know where
whoa.
I need to grab water, where I need to, dial back. I'm looking at my GPS. I'm managing all my stats. I take the exact same approach to bicycling as I take to business. And in both places, I'm ridiculously competitive. It's like you might be thinking we're on a ride. We're having a race. It just hasn't dawned on you yet. So,
Oh,
so,
dang.
so that's what's happening. I'm just matching you. Wait until I see signs of weakness, then it begins.
I forgot to show. So I do have one advantage for our
Mm,
race today. Okay.
right. You brought the
I
fuel.
I brought the fuel
Mhm.
and Kevin forgot his fuel.
No,
So
I
during
carry reserves right here on my side, so you can see them when I'm on the bike. So I carry a little extra fuel, but it's in the form of last week's burrito and all the stuff. I got the fuel I need.
Ah,
There you go.
that went into your calculation, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just extra fuel reserves. It's like an extra rocket in case you need it. So.
You're like, all right, I've got an extra 3,500 calories reserved over here for mile 40 and
Exactly.
dang, man,
Yeah,
no
so like,
wonder
yeah,
it's
before a big ride, 2 days early, I start fueling properly for that ride. It's all calculated.
oh
So, like,
wow.
I basically apply that to everything.
No wonder you're and how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So no wonder why your customers love you so much and why you get so many results. I'm gonna have to start a SaaS company just so that I can hire you to help me grow my SaaS company.
Every
uh,
SaaS challenge is actually a math problem. Now, the math, when it's not working, it sure doesn't tell you why it's not working. But I'll tell you this, if you procrastinate from solving for that number, if you procrastinate from diving in and identifying the constraint, you don't know if your fix is going to solve it. But if you're not tackling that with innovative, differentiated ideas that are designed to create the stick and pulling that click, pulling the booking, pulling that next step, then you're actually procrastinating and delaying the thing that's actually holding you back from growth. So it's like the math is the guide, but the differentiation is the outcome. That's the way, you know?
I've got so many questions. You guys seeing this? Things are getting good. Things are heating up. Things are about to get crazy. Let's get going. So today's topic
Got the glasses for
specifically,
this.
let's go. Oh, that was a fake mustache, Daniel? That was a fake mustache?
Yeah,
People didn't even know.
that
People
was a big
didn't even know.
reveal just then. That was good.
That was this. So when I knew we were doing the biking gear, I was like, man, what am I gonna do other than the helmet and everything? And then I threw these glasses on, and I was like, whoa, like I'm a manly biker, like Kevin Barber is a manly biker. So that's why so I got my protective gear, my glow gear on, and then I'm looking like a manly biker. So let's go.
I gotta say, Daniel, with full confidence, this is the tightest fit clothing I have ever worn for any podcast I've ever been on. And I want to throw out a props to the ladies. I don't know how y'all do it. So there you go.
I love it. No, that is, let me take off my sunglasses. I love that color too. Like when it comes to making sure you're safe, that's a great color
There you
for
go. It
safe.
matches the background. So like Kevin likes pink. It's true. It's true. Kevin likes
Oh
pink.
man. Ah,
So
yeah, it's the manly type of pink. Like, and I'm being serious here. Like this is looking good.
there is an
Um,
unwritten rule that's pretty well known in the cycling community, which is if you're gonna wear pink, you better be going fast. So there you go.
there you go. Now I know. I'm not allowed to wear the manly pink yet because I don't go fast enough.
There you go.
So I gotta do my maths in order to build up to that. Go back to and take that calculus 2 class that I got a D in. Um, so let's see here. So today's topic, Kevin, we're ready for the golden nuggets, the gold. So you've got some strategies, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what they are. You go deeper, you go more analytical when it comes to SaaS marketing strategies, specifically for B2B. When it comes to the lead gen aspect, specifically for SaaS. Um, when it comes to SEO, I mean, I like I know some SEO, but like compared to you, I don't know SEO. So let's dive into the topic. What kind of goal, what kind of tips do you have for us? Imagining I have a SaaS company, like what are the strategies that I should be implementing?
Right. Here's the way I climb the mountain, Daniel. I don't think about what my client wants. In fact,
Hmm,
in the first couple of weeks, oftentimes I'm arm wrestling my client because like their website is not for them. It's not even about them. Their website, their marketing is for their buyer and it's about their buyer. And it's about where the buyer is, helping them understand what is keeping them from the result they want and how you not only can show them the path, but you can walk them down it to get them faster. They're faster than anybody. Does it make sense? And
yeah.
most of the time, we're not even doing marketing. We're doing promotion. We're going, here's my thing. Are you ready to buy it? They're not ready to buy it. They don't want your tool. They want the result. Does it
Yeah.
make sense? So like normally what has to happen is when we're just going, here's my thing. Do you want to buy it? I don't even call that marketing. I call that promotion.
Hmm.
Right. And our friend in common, Steve Larson, taught me something, gosh, about 6 years ago that just edified and allowed us to really double down and push in to doing marketing, which is having a definition. Maybe we should go to definition. Have you ever heard Steve's definition of marketing, by the way?
I have, and I haven't written my notes, but that was years ago that I wrote it down. I actually forget what he said.
Marketing is changing beliefs with the intent of a sale. So right now, the entire market is a no. They're a no. And that's why when you just drive people to like this brochure homepage for your tool, they're like, I don't know who this is, what they got, how it works. I'm a no. Does that make sense? And so
Yeah.
now what we got to do is we got to unpack what are their beliefs of why it's a no, and we have to change those beliefs, and that's what's going to drive our sales. And what happens is that we tend to focus this is called like the innovators have this flaw of we did all this work to make our solution, whether it's software, whether you're a service-based company, you have this process, and you love to go to the details because you know that's where your value lies. But the client, the buyer, they're not ready for these details. They're not. They're sitting in a different camp. They're going, why should I even listen to you?
Hmm.
Does it make sense? Why should I
Yeah.
even listen to you? Why do I need to change anything at all? Why do I even need to change? While they don't have the result they want, they're allegiant to their current habits, their current behaviors, their current decisions, and you have to break them out of that and have them open to change,
Yeah.
right? So why should I change? What change should I make? right? How do I make that change? And then finally, why should I do that to you? What's our marketing? Choose us, choose us, choose us. And we forgot to to unpackage the burger before we tried to eat it, you know?
Yeah.
And what happens is that we don't have what I would call message market match. So in the startup world, in the SaaS world, in the tech world, everyone does this product market fit. Oh, we have found product market fit. And most people's definition of product market fit is we have a product that's getting clients results, therefore we have everything we need for our marketing. And that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's great that your product is getting people results, but people haven't experienced the product. You can actually break product market fit down into a couple of lower level components, which is first, it's your messaging. How do you get attention, keep attention, and convert attention?
Yeah.
Because that matters more so they can even get to the product.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
then once you get that initial conversion, right, maybe they sign up for a strategy piece. Maybe it's a calculator. Maybe it's a new AI tool, very popular, right? How do you then conversion stack that into them becoming either a trial or a customer or a demo, whatever that precedes that big sale, right? And so
Yeah.
that's the offer stack. And how are you delivering that, and how is that working? Most companies are like, no, we just want to promote our demo. I'm like, no, you need to unravel how the customer will come to experience the need for a demo.
Yeah. You're reminding me of Seth Godin. You're reminding me of the experiences I've had the few times I still do go to a mall at the kiosks when there's certain kiosks they're trying to pitch everybody as they walk by.
Sure.
And I've been in a situation where um they were trying to hawk their wares or whatever at the kiosk and they were repelling me, right? Because it's like, hey you try this sample, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I've had situations where after the fact I was like, you know what? I was actually interested in that, but I told the guy, no, I'm not interested. And so now to stay congruent with what I told the person who was inadvertently repelling me, I can't go back now. I already told the guy no.
Yeah. Booth marketing is and I've done that. It is a master class in understanding what attracts and repels people. And it's almost the more you try to push on them, the more it absolutely is not going to work.
Yeah, 100%. That's gold right there. And then when it comes to the attraction aspect and the changing of beliefs, talking about Stephen J. Larson and everything, 100% agreed. So one of our most successful courses we ever sold was all about customer experience, the age of experience.
Mhm.
We basically sold the course because we taught people a new belief. We taught people that in 2025, people want to spend their disposable income on experiences, and they have enough stuff. And we are in the age of experience. The industrial age has come and gone, and now because of the industrial age, we all have a bunch of stuff. And we have so much stuff that we're trying to get rid of a lot of our stuff.
Mhm.
But people are not trying to get rid of experiences. People are actually in search of more experiences.
Right.
And
There's
when
a
I
drought of that, especially since COVID, right? Like
exactly.
community experiences, like 100%. Please
Yeah.
continue.
So that's the belief that we would sell. Now, if well, it sounds like you're on board, Kevin. You agree with me. Like, oh yeah, 100%. We all want experiences. And so that's how we would sell the course. We didn't shout from the mountaintops that we have a course to sell that's going to increase your sales and everything, which it does. That's the results that it provides. We actually just marketed the belief. We sold the belief. People bought the idea. And then as they adopted the new belief, the natural consequence was, yeah, I agree with you. Oh, wait, you have this amazing course all about customer experiences that's going to help me grow my sales. Now that I am convinced that we are in the age of experience and that I need to add experiential aspects to all of my products and services. Now that I get that, because we're in the age of experience, now I want the course. Tell me more about the course. And then we won and sold a lot of that course. So you're saying the big mistake, Kevin, is that in the SaaS world, too many companies, they're just saying, I have this amazing SaaS that's going to solve your problem. Here it is. Take it.
100%. And if I start doing a strategy call with a buyer, I stopped asking these questions because I hate having to like, judo slam them on call number one. But it's like, what's your value proposition? It's like, well, here's what we do. We do this same vague, non-business related output for customers, but we're more experienced and we're a better value than our competition, right? And I'm like, right. And it's like more experienced. Let me make sure I understand. You're a newer, younger, less funded company, less known in the marketplace, but you have more experience or more experts, right? Or you have better support, even though they're like 30 times bigger than you. And you're a better value, which communicates to me that you just haven't figured out how to sell your stuff well enough to have good margins for your business so you can reinvest into that support that you tout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like what happens is like and brands have evolved. That tends not to be the challenge that I'm solving these days. We tend to go a little deeper, level game one. But the deal is like, for your brand, your job is to break their frame. Your job is to make them see their situation in a new way. Now, how are you going to get their attention so that they'll listen to you, right? So that you can here's what I like to do. I like to say something that they agree with, right? Say something that they agree with. And then I either immediately prove why it's not true, or I need to expose how that thinking leaves a giant gap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So either way, my job is to break their frame and expose the gap. And then once you expose the gap or break the frame, it is only natural to want to understand how to solve it. Right.
Yep.
And the job of our messaging, the job of our marketing, the job of this super pink jersey is to open up the space to where you can be like, okay, what is the frame that my buyer holds that has kept them from doing the right thing? How do I break that frame or expose that gap to then insert my bridge for them to get them the result that they need? And everything we're doing, from differentiated messaging to really fun outfits in our marketing, is designed to create that opportunity, that window. And it doesn't matter your product if you cannot open up the buyer's mind to how they could achieve get the result they want, that they currently don't have.
Dude, like we are so aligned. We are so aligned. It's crazy.
That's why we hang out at all the conferences, Daniel. We're just climbing the mountain from the other side.
And that's why you were like, man, I love your book. Because you agreed with like probably every single word that I said.
100% every single word. And I wanted to inspire. I have twin 17-year-olds, for those that don't know me. And so I didn't even open it right away. I waited until I had some teenagers over at the house, and we opened up the book together, because they're like, wow, like this is what buying a book could be like. I'm like, yes. And they're like, this is awesome. Like I already have ideas. And I think where we are today, for the younger people on the call, like your job from point of, I mean, yes, don't stand out by not finishing school, but after that, like your job is to stand out. If you want to be a cyclist, you're going to need sponsors. How are you going to stand out? Right?
Yeah.
If you want to be on stage, you're going to need fans. How are you going to stand out? What's your elbow move?
Yeah. People's elbow. Let's go.
Right. So like this game applies in all levels of life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we've got a huge step. What I understand from everything that you've saying, Kevin, like if I come to you and I'm looking to hire Kevin, I've got a SaaS company, and it's like, oh man, Kevin, our SaaS is basically, this is how I'm going to approach you, Kevin. Kevin, we got the best SaaS in the world. We got the best value, like the best price. All I need, Kevin, is more leads, and then you immediately are going to show me how my actual problem is that not that I need more leads.
Right.
It's
So every
it
single company thinks they need more leads, and they always are asking for one or two things, which is that they either want a new website because they think that'll get them leads, or they want to
yeah,
hire us for marketing to get them leads. So they say, how can you help us scale our lead gen? And then
yeah,
I say, scale what? Show me what lead gen you have that's actually profitable.
right.
Show me the money metrics that demonstrate that if you were to double down on even one thing you're doing, it would be profitable. And that's me breaking their frame, because every single one of those companies does not have scalable customer acquisition. So they don't need more leads. In fact, if they made more leads, it would just increase their burn rate because of the rate that they tend
Yeah,
to be converting those leads. Here's what happens. SaaS guys, listen to me here. There's a market shift that you miss when you move into marketing. All right. So you built your business to $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, largely on getting some initial customers and driving word of mouth referrals. And those word of mouth referrals, they come to you and they're engaged and they listen and they buy. You want to know why? Because they're hot buyers. Someone they know, like, and trust recommended you. Their authority that they have with that person fell onto you. You came in anointed. It was your ball to drop. All you
yeah,
needed to do was not F it up, and they were going to buy. But when you go to the cold market that doesn't know you, doesn't like you, doesn't trust you, doesn't have Daniel Den going, this guy's awesome, you need to hire this company because I use it and I love it. You don't have that. Now you got to start from scratch. And all of a sudden, we didn't start thinking about how we stand out for that cold market. We didn't think about how we peel back the first layer for the cold market. We haven't built that. And even if you get leads, you get some downloading some sort of lead magnet, we don't have the systems in place that reliably, predictably, and frankly, profitably convert them into demos and calls. And until you build that out, it's not going to work.
Oh man, what? I hear exactly
Glad
what
to be
you're
back
saying,
on.
Kevin. That's so good. So like, it's a market shift that happens when I switch over to the cold market. It's completely different. Completely different. Mind blown. Let's go. And I see it all the time as well. Like, people think like, hey, I'm getting referrals, and so if I turn on any type of marketing, if I turn on Facebook ads, or if I turn on YouTube ads, or if I turn on Google ads, or if I turn on LinkedIn ads, or this or that, like, they have this expectation that people are just gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to buy because I'm a lead.
Mhm.
And that is the type of lead so many businesses are used to when they haven't done marketing the right way. So the big mind blown concept here is that also in the SaaS world, especially with B2B, we have to learn the right ways to attract our dream customers when it comes to cold markets.
Mhm.
So messaging is one of the big pillars that you've already revealed. What other pillars, what other tips do you have for us when it comes to marketing to these cold audiences do we need for SaaS sales, especially in B2B markets?
Sure. So, what we tend to do is we tend to rush the sale. If you were trying to if you're trying to get so Ryan Dice always uses the relationship metaphor. I'm going to do it. It gets a little bit nervous here in a second, but bear with me, right? So
Okay.
if your goal is like, I want to be married, I want to have a family, right? What you don't do in the pursuit of finding that dream match is invite people away to the honeymoon retreat to start making the family, right?
Right.
Because like that's going to repel the person you're actually trying to attract. But that's what we do in our marketing, right? So we do the messaging. We even have a great hook. We get them on the page, and then we're like, and let's jump in this together. But that's
Yeah.
not how people do that. They need to experience value in advance. So I don't call lead magnets. You want to know why? Because
Okay.
my client is going to they're going to kind of retreat to their prior thinking, and they're going to make something selfish about what they want to happen. They're like, oh, our lead magnet is our demo. Our lead magnet is our trial. It's this thing that we want to
Right.
happen. Right. But what I rename it and I call it an instant value offer.
Okay.
What can you
Instant value
do
offer.
that is going to deliver instant value well in advance of a sale, whether they hire you or not, that is going to have them actually see you different than the other people, than the other vendors, than the other companies, than the other paths that they're currently thinking. That's going to help break their frame and open their mind to a different way, right? And then, like, if you don't have an instant value offer, you can't connect the messaging and deliver them something that gets them at least one step on their journey immediately,
Yeah.
then how are you going to get them all the way? Right? If you can't have a successful first date, how are you going to go all the way to the end? Plan for the first date. Plan for the first experience. Make that so memorable that they tell other people about it.
Yeah.
Invest in that as much as you invest in your product.
What would you say is an example for SaaS of an instant value offer then? Like what type of instant, if it's not the free trial, which I think is a pretty good offer. I mean, if I'm a SaaS company, free trial sounds pretty sexy to me. If
Right.
could it still be the free trial, or is there marketing hooks and angles that we should be adding in front of that free trial?
Right. So let's dissect it. In order for me to want a free trial, then I have to want a solution, because the only time I'm going to spend my time and energy to look for a solution is when I know I have a problem to solve, and I believe this category of solution solves that problem. So therefore, I'm looking for solutions. And about 3 to 7% of the market is actually in that deal, but you're missing about 93% of the market that is not
Right.
yet in that shopping mode. So if you
Yeah.
want to grab the colder market, then what you need to do is you need to think about an away from pain and a first step offer. So here's an away from pain. Like HubSpot, I play in the HubSpot ecosystem. HubSpot did a website grader. Why don't I just get a grade of my existing website to even see if there's something I should solve? I have a growth grader, growthgrader.com. And it enables you to quickly diagnose and get an audit and of understanding where your even gaps even exist. Right. So sometimes a away from pain offer is very successful because it helps people understand what is their gap, what is their problem, what is their piece. So an away from pain offer, I did a lead magnet for a client that had stand desks. You know, I'm at a stand desk now, standing. And the deal is that we did the 10 best and the 10 worst stand desks plus a discount code for new customers as a package. Okay.
Okay.
We got
Like,
about
was it like it was an info product, or?
it was it. So this was a few years ago. So it was a PDF with a discount code that expired.
Oh,
It was a
I
PDF with
see.
an expert code. But the critical hook was it was not just the 10 best standing desks. That would be mediocre. It was the 10 best and the 10 worst standing desks.
Yeah.
So what happened is that you know we are so wired to avoid a mistake.
Mhm.
Everyone wanted to see the 10 worst, Daniel.
Everyone wanted to see the 10 worst. Yeah, I bet.
Exactly right.
That's what I was thinking right now. I'm like, I bet the 10 best were like a lot of the same, right? But the
Well,
10
so
worst.
yeah, so anyone could do the 10 best, but the 10 best and 10 worst standing desks plus a discount code for new customers, it converted like a 7x conversion rate over what they had
Yeah.
before. And here's the logic, because people wanted to understand how to not make a mistake, and they wanted access to a discount code. Who doesn't want a discount code? We actually inflated the prices across the site to give the discount code. You know, and the deal is that this is what we did for fun, by the way. Also, I was trying to help my client not have legal ramifications. We didn't go diss on competitors' products, because that's going to get you a finely nice worded letter with a
Yeah.
law firm's name at the top. And like, that's not going to be a very effective strategy. So what we did is we made the 10 worst, all the makeshift things that people tried that were absolutely ridiculous, of like stacking a table on top of a bunch of books and having your laptop on it. And like, so all the 10 worst were just comical attempts rather than actually solve the problem with
That's
one of the 10
funny.
best. And it was a successful campaign. It's a simple idea, but it's showing people the best and worst, right? Like, and now it's an away from pain. I don't want to mess this up.
Hold up. 7 times more effective. Money magnet alert. Let's go. That's a beautiful example of advertising that was 7 times more effective. Are you guys hearing that? And it focused not on the top 10, but the top 10 plus the 10 worst. And that was what people were most interested in, because people want to avoid pain more than they want what, Kevin?
More than they want your promise of some sort of future sale. They want to avoid a mistake, and they want to get a shortcut.
Yep, 100%. Yep. They want to avoid mistakes more actually than pleasure, right?
Yep.
They desire that more. We're so weird. Us humans, we're dressed up on the marketing podcast party. We're so weird, right? Like we'd rather avoid mistakes, avoid pain, than get pleasure a lot of the times.
So mistakes lower our status. Mistakes make us feel vulnerable. The mistakes make us feel less, and we're highly skeptical of all promises. Marketers did that. We overpromised, y'all. We overpromised. So we're skeptical of all the promises, but we're really receptive to avoiding mistakes because it maintains our status. If you think about most of the choices that we make in our life, we kind of drive an average car. We live in an average house. We put ourselves in a kind of an average environment. We don't go to the extremes. You want to know why? The extremes are unsafe. You know what I mean? So what happens is that keep you alive meter back here, like really wires you to look for opportunities to not mess up.
Yeah.
But that's just one kind. That's just one kind.
That's just one kind of. I mean, I'm sure this could be a 4-day masterclass on all the type of, you call them instant value offers, you said?
Instant value offers.
Instant value offers, and different examples of that, where I think people box themselves in, especially with SaaS company. It's like, some of them think that they have to do a free trial. They think that's like the only way to attract their dream customer. And I know you work with more than SaaS companies as well, but so like all people in all industries, they kind of put themselves in a box. And part of the reason why is because they're looking to what everybody else is doing. If everybody else is giving a free trial for the SaaS, it is not as sexy of an offer as you think.
That's 100%. And most trials, unless your product is like a Dropbox level simple, I drag it and it's in there and I send someone a link. The setup of most software, particularly in the more complex, security and enterprise software, is too complicated to configure for them to even be successful in the trial. Like they're just not going to push through all of that to see the value. Free trials apply great to very simple products, like when you're at Sam's Club or Costco and they give you a free sample. That's simple. You insert in mouth, begin chewing immediately. Like that's really easy, and you get an instant assessment of whether that is valuable to you. That free trial works.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to free trial something that takes 30 minutes to set up, I'm just letting you know mathematically it's going to fail.
Yeah. But both of us, I mean, we've hung out in the ClickFunnels world for a long time, and I remember Dave Woodward would always talk about his stick rate, and he would talk about strategies and everything that they would do. At the end of the day, ClickFunnels, as amazing as it is, the big reason why they still struggle getting the biggest number possible of people going from trial to paid member is simply because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of steps to be able to use such a robust type of a tool. And so that's why when it comes to like a ClickFunnels, that is what they're still super successful, because they have so many instant value offers outside of just the software that point people towards ClickFunnels ultimately. For example, you can get a free plus shipping book. Wow, instantly valuable. Even if I don't read it, I look smart by putting the book on my shelf. And so it's instantly valuable to me, right? For free plus shipping. And that points me closer towards ClickFunnels because the book mentions ClickFunnels multiple times. A free webinar with Russell. Even just jumping on Russell's podcast and listening to an episode. Maybe Russell's talking about SaaS or something. For our SaaS listeners, that's instant value. Oh, what tips is Russell going to share that's going to help me improve my business? There's so many different types of instant value offers. And I think, Kevin, one of the biggest mistakes is that people have a lack of tests. They'll do maybe they learn from you today, Kevin, and they're like, this is genius. We need these instant value offers and we need to front load them and we need to put them out there as part of our marketing strategy in addition to the free trial and everything else that we're doing on our website. And then maybe they test one or maybe they test two, but the ones that are putting out a lot of these instant value offers and testing and figuring out what works best, that's where the floodgates start to open up. Am I right?
100%. There's two points to this. First, let's touch on that. So I have a friend who has an advertising agency. They just focus on advertising, which is great, and they're pretty darn good at it. Okay. Did you know that their minimum engagement, they're going to run 80 variations? So they're going to test 10 ideas and 4 variations of each idea, and then they're going to do that twice. And if they're not signed up to run 80 variations, they will not accept them as a client, because we're not just going to find that works a little. We're going to find out that standout thing that hooks them and drives them. And then you have to understand that that's just the first step. And then you literally need to almost invest as much time and energy into the second and third step. And that's where the momentum comes from. Yeah. You don't just get people into your inbox and now they're all buyers. That is not how this works. Nope. Quick story that I learned from that person making $250,000 a month, by the way. This was old school. We were in network marketing. We were setting up for an event where you rent in a hotel room, you set it all up, you put on your nice wares, and you come in and you see a presentation. That's what we were doing while I was trying to pay my way through college. And while we're setting up chairs, he goes, "Kevin, what's the purpose of this event?" And I was like, sell lots of stuff. Of course, we gotta make money, huh? He's like, "No, that's not it." I'm like, put butts on seats. Like, the purpose of the event is to get this in here and get a lot of people in here. Like, it's to fill the event. He's like, no. He's like, the purpose of this event is to build for the next event. We are in the momentum business. So when you bring them in, they open up that box, they get the light bulb inside of the idea package, like the ideas box. The purpose of that is so that they can get that next, like, exciting event that separates you. And at this point, they're no longer thinking about anyone else. And that's when you bring them the true value, your method, your insight. You show them the gap and exactly how you solve it. And you make starting that process easy. And it's really like The Rock did it off of one, but your business might need 2 or 3 moves that's going to separate you and activate them into the buyer journey. That's what's going to happen. And that's when they're like, okay, fine. How does it work? Okay, cool. So it does that and I can get a trial. Okay, maybe I'll try it.
Yeah. Love it. Man, this is beautiful, Kevin. Now, we've got just a few minutes left. We want to fulfill the promise because I know some people are watching this episode specifically because they know on top of all the gold, like, this is all like front loaded, like, basically we've covered everything except the SEO aspect of things. And maybe that's
got to get found.
And maybe that's the whole point, because maybe SEO is the easier part, but when you SEO garbage marketing, then it doesn't really do much for you. And so if we focus more on everything else, and then we have the right strategy, and then we're going to get traffic to something that's actually converting, then SEO is, I mean, is it pretty straightforward? Is it pretty similar for SaaS companies when compared to other companies?
I'll give you the SEO secret. It's deceptively simple.
Oh, let's go. I'm taking notes. I'm ready.
All right, cool. I'll give it to you in a moment. First, we have to lose half of your listeners. Are you ready? I'm going to use
Yes.
one word, and half of them are going to immediately leave the podcast. Are you ready?
Yeah, this is impressive. I'm ready to hear this word.
All right, cool. Think about SEO like Donald Trump thinks about real estate.
Oh, that's why you said that.
Boom.
Yeah, it is.
Off they went.
There you go. Now I get it. I'm like, wow, half the audience. That's divisive. How are you going to do that? Now I
Right. So
understand.
so what happens is Donald Trump doesn't think about the cheapest way to get real estate done. He thinks about how to make landmarks that are seen, memorable, that build his brand and literally change the landscape of the place that he is developing. That's what he does. And that's the way you want to think about SEO. I just wanted to give a word picture, but the deal is that at the end of the day, the way you do SEO is you build a piece of content that actually deserves to rank. So you did the
Yeah.
homework. If you identified a term that your target market cares about, and then what you did is you go and you research everything that ranks for that term, and then you make sure that you have insights equal to or superior to that. So you're going to need to include some of the topics that are ranking because Google has shown its intent. Google has shown you what they believe buyers care about by ranking those articles. You have to include that. And then just like Donald Trump, I know I said it twice. You have to build a taller skyscraper that's a bigger, better, more shiny, fancier Windows monument. And that article ranks every time. You want to know why? Because it gives Google all the right signals, all the right math.
Mhm.
Right?
Right,
Google
Matt.
sees the
Yeah.
dwell time, the click rate. Your domain gets improved domain authority as a result of this. And then it moves its way up the rankings. It is a process. It takes time. But that's how you do it. You build the article that deserves to rank, and then you attach that to an idea that influences. You realize that is just your commercial, and almost at every floor of this elevator, you want to be making a next step offer to them because we're in the momentum business. You don't just get them on the blog post and expect them to be buyer. You get them on the blog post and you seed it with next steps that are completely congruent and deliver instant value based upon where they are and what they're reading about. That's how you win SEO.
I love it. Um, is it fair to say that, especially for SaaS, so for SaaS companies, I mean, we're talking, you're dealing with multi-million-dollar companies, and sometimes in the tens of millions and beyond. And so when it comes to the battle for attention in 2025, what you're telling me is that if you're a SaaS company and you hire the agency who's promising, 200 backlinks per month for $2,000 on random blogs across the internet, and maybe they used a lot of chat GPT in order to write those blog posts, um, simply because of the competitive nature of the industry that you're in, that is not going to cut it because you need to compete truly in the eyes of Google as a established SaaS company. You need landmarks worthy of visitors' attention. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Not just worthy, but delivering value that in excess of every other attempt thus far to date. Because the internet, y'all, I'm sorry to tell you, it's already been built.
Yeah.
It's already been built. So in
There
the
you go.
beginning, it was super easy because you might be the first person to write a blog post about this topic. You might be
Yeah.
the first person to have a page about it, the first person that has a case study about it. That's no longer true for basically everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to do this, you're gonna have to have a deeper well. You're gonna have a taller, shinier building. You're gonna have to deliver more value than the others if you want to be in that coveted top first page spot. And by the way, this is not just true. This same process, this same framework. So I'm always thinking about reverse engineering the machine. It's the same framework for a YouTube video. It's just a little bit different. The metrics are different. It's how do
Yeah.
you have the best thumbnail? How do you do the first 6 seconds? Right? How do you have the best first 6 seconds? Then how do you get to the first minute? And then how do you ultimately have the right embedded offers that make it more successful? It's like you can apply this to anything and you just have to make, and if you do that, it will, the algorithm will figure it out and it will promote you because it helps them. It's just the model of what works.
Mind blown. And you're reminding me back in 2007, very few people know I actually posted a lot of videos on YouTube in 2007. And at the time, because I was the first person and I understood keyword research, I was ranked for multiple videos, and I would just put out, it was literal garbage, man. Like I would just like turn on the camera and talk for 5 minutes about a topic just off of the top of my head. We had whiteboards and we called ourselves like the whiteboard guys. Most of those channels are now deleted. But we were winning the battle for traffic because we were the only ones ranking for certain keywords. That was 2007. This is 2025. If I did that same strategy today, I would literally get 1 or 2 views per video.
100%.
Boy, it is.
Daniel, can we go back to, first off, can we use a PG cuss word on the deal? Not like a R, but a PG cuss word on the podcast. Would that be acceptable to you?
Yeah, 100%. Are we going to say damn or hell? Which one is it?
Okay, PG-13. All right. So the so the deal is that when we were talking about things, it's like, how are we going to do it? And we're going to go all out. And we basically said, so a lot of the mistakes that we're making in our marketing is we go half-ass.
Yeah.
Right. And what I said that I say to my team is that we want to go whole ass or no ass. And when you think about your marketing and your messaging and your offers, I really encourage you to either go whole ass, no half ass, or just save the money and just be like, you know what? I'm not ready to commit.
And that goes for your YouTube videos, your podcasts. There we go.
Yeah, your thumbnail, the first 6 seconds, your landing page, the thank you page, the email nurture. If you want to stand out, you got to go whole ass, y'all.
Let's go. Oh, man. I love it. I love it. Kevin, this has been a true pleasure hanging out with you today. I got to drive down to Tampa and we got to hang out more. There's no excuses. We're only like 3 hours away. So, but Kevin, obviously, people in the SaaS world, they need your expertise. They want your expertise. You've been driving results for so many businesses. What's your call to action for us? How can we get involved with Kevin Barber's world?
So I have looked at so many websites, so much marketing over the years that I just spent about 1.5 years taking everything that I look for and building a little bot that will show you in less than 90 seconds what I'm probably going to say to you if we talked.
Oh, nice.
So like I've just shown it with a lot of examples and knows what to look for. It's doing a pretty good job. It's about a 80% of what Kevin might say version. You can just go to growthgrader.com, check it out. You can check it out and get an instant assessment of your website, your marketing maturity, and what you might want to focus on just from that alone. And inside of that, on the back side of it, you know that I took a first step to have a valuable next step. There's more goodies inside.
Oh, what you're saying is growthgrader.com is a perfect example of an instant value offer. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
We want to make the strategic tangible. So why not have an example that we can include in the podcast?
There we go. This guy's a genius. I told you guys. I told you Kevin Barber was a marketing genius. Thank you so much, Kevin. We all appreciate that. You guys go and check it out, growthgrader.com. And with that, let's cue that music one more time.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. Please share this episode with your friends, family, and business partners. Also, remember that the party continues with your free copy of the Ideas That Influence book and interactive box experience. I wrote both the book and also created a box experience to help you with even more wildly successful marketing ideas. Head on over to bigideasbox.com to grab your copy. You'll get your copy for free. I guess this is an example of an instant value offer too, right? There we go. You get your copy for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Once again, that's bigideasbox.com for your free plus shipping copy. I'm Daniel Den. This is the Marketing Podcast Party, and I'll see you in the next episode.